What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and once again, I'm sitting here next to
Gershwin,
and we're back to answer your questions in another episode of For the Greater War.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. That is what the Fool06 did. He asks, Tau are said to be immune from Chaos Taint. Can Tau worship Chaos at their own free will, or do Tau have souls?
Tau do have souls, and even though most people would agree that the Tau are immune to chaos possession and stuff, they don't. They could fall to the forces of chaos. They just barely register in the warp. Like, I think we gave the analogy, if the warp was a blanket of darkness and strong psychic souls were like lanterns, the Tau would be just a small matchlight compared to like bonfires and forest fires of like Magnus and stuff like that.
Yeah, perfect.
But yeah, they could fall prey to the machinations of chaos.
Machinations. Whenever I have that word, I just skip it. Or say scheme or plot. Next question.
Vance Orlando. Do you guys think that Fulcrum will escape his imprisonment and return to the Imperium?
Fulcrum? He says Fulcrum?
He says Fulcrum.
Escape his imprisonment.
Oh, I think he's talking about how like Fulcrum was in the painting and the demon has possessed his body currently. But I think the lore's changed where he actually got his body back and he put the demon into the painting. So I think the Fulcrum that's out now as a demon prince is the original Fulcrum.
Yep. Next question comes from Mr. Sparkle. What piece of old lore do you wish would come back to modern 40K?
El gato volador. That's the flying cat.
Yeah. WAAAGH. WAAAGH was a pretty cool war boss. I wish he could come back. They took him out of the lore. They took him out of the codex.
The only thing I could really think of are squats. I mean,
yeah, just was like the pariahs.
Yeah, pariahs from the Necrons.
From the Necrons, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Next question.
This one's by Tyler Castillo. Since the Horus heresy is still technically fresh, for the more long-lived in the Imperium, but it hasn't technically been wholly erased from history, and again, the most older living members of the Imperium know of Horus, what realistically could be worse than the two missing Primarchs to be erased from all history? So basically they're saying the Horus heresy was like a huge negative thing that happened, and that hasn't been erased from history. What could the two Primarchs have done that made them get erased from history?
Well, the Civil War was not erased from history, but Horus was. They got rid of the plinth that had the traitor Primarchs, and they also got rid of any notion of Horus. Like you said, the reason that people know about Horus is because Chaos tells them, and because there are long-lived individuals who know about it, about like the War Master and stuff. But Horus did suffer the same fate as the Lost Primarchs. It's just that, I mean, the Civil War, the Horus heresy is still a thing.
Right. You still see ramifications of the war. Obviously, the Codex, the Emperor on the Golden Throne. There's no way to be like, oh, the heresy never happened, then why isn't the Emperor still out here?
Exactly, yeah. They have to explain all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the missing Primarchs, yeah, it's bad that, you know, they had to be, the Edict of Obliteration had to be done on them, but I don't think no matter what they could have done, that it would have been worse than the heresy.
Yeah, and the heresy, the heresy was much worse, and you have to remember that Edicts of Obliteration get passed out to a lot of things. We don't hear about them, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like the other traitor or the Lost Primarchs also came at a very early age too, for the Imperium at least. They came during the Dark Crusade, right? That's what it's called.
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
This one's by Beating Clowns. Are all Space Marines able to receive the Primaris upgrade? What about Primarchs? Are they able to take this upgrade too?
They don't need to.
They're already both.
Both. But yeah, older Space Marines technically can't. There are some that do, but then they suffer the fate of like the same thing as like a neophyte trying to become a Space Marine. The chances of you surviving are pretty slim. What are they called?
What?
Those primaries that like became primaries after they were already Space Marines. I thought they were like a special unit.
The primaries that became primaries?
No, the Space Marines that became primaries.
Oh, I don't know.
I thought they were a unit.
Well, I mean, you've got a whole chapter of primaris Marines.
Yeah, but those are, kids that went through the process and became primaries. But a Space Marine doesn't go through the process and become a primaris Marine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Unless, or you could, and I thought there was a specific name for those types of people.
Primaris Marines.
No, I thought they were like a special thing, like ancients or some shit. But anyways.
Well, ancients are like the lieutenants, aren't they? No, ancients bear the standard of their chapter. Right?
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I gotta read the lore a little bit more on that. Next question. Mr. Sparkle. What piece of... I just read that. AMS. How does an Imperial citizen become attack priests? You have to be born on a Forge world or be someone who... it's like a lineage. Or like somebody has to pull you towards the Adeptus Mechanicus and the whole cult. You can't just apply. It's blood and all that kind of stuff. Next question.
Blood.
That's an old song.
Dirt Driver 29. If Gilliman were to fall to the chaotic powers of chaos, would the Ultramarines and any other successors follow him to also become chaotically tainted? Not necessarily. Like, obviously, if Gilliman, like, somehow tricked them into following chaos, yeah. But I don't think the Ultramarines would. Like, if they saw... Like, I think if anybody saw their commanding officer or Primarch or Chapter Master, like, welcome chaos, they would still fight against him, even though he was, like, their leader or whatever. Because they know better.
He know better.
Unless he tricked them into saying, come into this warp to fight, demons, and then they get into it and then they get possessed by chaos. Yeah.
Next question comes from Kyle Walker. Is it possible that since the traitor Primarchs remember the lost Primarchs, they can recreate a legion with the Retainer's Legion? With a Retainer Legion? No, they're not supposed to. They got destroyed for a reason. It would be kind of like if Gilliman tried to create a World Eaters successor chapter. Like, doesn't make sense.
The Fool 06. There are some factions that plan to revive the Emperor, but the Custodes seem to be against it. They still take direct command from the Emperor from the Golden Throne. So, does this mean that the Emperor does not want to be revived at this point in time? Well, right now, he's a pillar of the Astronomicon. If he were to die, that would basically be dooming Terra to death. And more. Because astropaths won't be able to navigate. And overall, it'll just be horrendous for the Imperium. So I think that's why he doesn't want to die and revive. Because in his death, that would mean the death of the Imperium.
Yep. The Bible Man asks, why doesn't the Imperium just evacuate the Holy Terra and let it pop into another Eye of Terror? It'll be, but at least then the Big E would come back and unfuck the Imperium. But the Big E might not come back.
Right.
So it's like tricky.
And even if he did come back, like we were just saying, the Imperium might be in such a bad state that they won't be able to recover from it.
Yeah. And you don't want to get rid of your capital. That's like the whole point of war. Don't lose your capital.
Right.
If you just give up your capital, then you're giving up the war.
That's like saying, take Constantinople. We'll rise to power again.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. Next one. Swin ABC. If old Warhammer Fantasy was suddenly connected to 40K, which of the races of fantasy would you give the most trouble for the Imperium? Or would give the most trouble for the Imperium? With the Dark...
Go ahead.
Would the Dark Eldar, now with stronger leaders from fantasy, be more of a threat? Or would Skaven be a nightmare to deal with given time? Or Lizardmen? I can't read.
Lizardmen. Lizard women.
So who do you think from fantasy?
I would say that the biggest threat to them would be the Slan. Because aren't they like the old ones, kind of?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Lizardmen?
Yeah. No, that's a good answer. Because like I got all excited that one time that they announced that the old ones were coming back. Really, it was just Blackstone Fortress. And people were hyping it up as the old ones coming back.
Well, in a way, they kind of did. Well, no, because it was just the constructs.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that Lizardmen would be the most troublesome. Yeah, but that wouldn't make sense because like if you're gonna connect 40K or Warhammer Fantasy to 40K, I guess we need context. Like how is that gonna happen? Because if it's just a portal and like they're just another planet, then they're nothing.
Yeah.
But if they were the past, then old ones.
I feel like Skaven would be a little nuisance. Like, they'd be like a mini orc. Like, mini orcs. Because, like, they wouldn't be to the threat of, like, an orc wall. But it's like, you can't really get rid of them. They're like rats and stuff like that.
It's an army of Gretchen, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Then this is the last question by State of Mind. Do you think GW has the guts to explore Slaanesh and the fall to him in all of its pleasure-filled glory? Probably not the same way that you want it to. You are probably thinking much like all the other Slaaneshi fans that you want like tentacle porn in 40K. So GW won't ever do that just because GW is not about that, right?
Right.
But we did get Slaanesh models, so they're exploring it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't have much to add.
Big booty. This is Gershwan.
The Sound Alchemist. See you guys next time.